Do you notice a sort of big difference playing over here to the States, audience-wise?
Well, I mean, it's an English audience, so it's hard to say because in the U.S. it varies, from city to city. They're always different. So, it's different than an American audience, but at the same time, there is no such thing as a standard American audience.
Do you think a lot of our bands sort of get an impression when they go to America that a lot of the audience are quite enthusiastic from the start, whereas over here people take a long time to get into things and tend to come across as perhaps a bit staid?
No, I wouldn't say that because I think there's plenty of situations in the U.S. where audiences aren't necessarily enthusiastic from the start. I mean, I think a lot of the time a band won't go over to the U.S. until there's already somewhat of an established market for the band. And the same thing sometimes occurs the other way around. But, it also depends on where you are. Some cities will be more likely to embrace another country's band than others. Other cities may not be as interested in it just because it's from somewhere else.
On the whole, touring, do you mind it? Do you miss home at all? Or do you quite like being on the road?
It depends on what you're doing and how much time you have off. The more time you spend not performing when you're on tour, the more time you have to wish you were home.
So what are the main things you miss about home?
Generally not being where you are at the time, being somewhere else. Same thing anyone would miss. You're acquainted with it.
Yeah, your own toilet and your pets.
Your pets. Your toilet pets.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable on stage as performers?
Yes.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, is it sort of a comfortable environment for you, sort of singing in front of loads of people and...
Well, I would hope so, considering how much we do it. If it wasn't comfortable, I think we would have quit by now, because we do that more than anything. When you make a record, it takes a few months to write and record. Once that's done, all the rest of your time spent performing.
You supported and headlined. Do you feel that there's any particular thing you actually prefer doing? Some people say supporting, it's less pressure and...
Yeah, it's more fun to play your own shows, really, most of the time. Because your own audience, you can play more of a diverse selection of songs, and it's more interesting because of that. It's not necessarily more work to play your own shows because the audience sort of comes there to see you. It's your audience. Sometimes opening, even if you're playing like 45 minutes, it's sort of 45 minutes of like being scrutinized or by a group of people who came there to see somebody else, which isn't as good necessarily. I mean, there's good things about it, but headlining is better, I think.
It could be a challenge to break someone else's audience.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Personally, I don't tend to go out there with the attitude of breaking, us to a new audience. I just go out there with the attitude of playing, performing, and just playing the songs and being into that and paying attention to that. I don't really care what happens outside of that so much in that situation.
I mean, on the whole, are you really bothered how people perceive the band, or you, or the music?
Well, it's nice when it's obvious that everybody's loving what you're doing. But in a situation where we're playing in front of 18,000 fans, most of which aren't ours, it's not going to make too much difference, if they don't seem overly enthusiastic. Because I wouldn't really expect a commercial or mainstream audience to unanimously love what we do. It would almost seem a little awkward if they did.
Do you think that people over here anyway picked up on Soundgarden in the earlier days? Do you think that there's been maybe a little bit of pressure on you that you've had to develop in front of an audience in a way? sort of as you've been progressing and developing?
A live audience?
Well, in front of, you've actually done it in front of, I don't mean a live audience, but I mean in front of your fans or in front of people. It isn't a case of you've been bashing away at it for 5 years and then suddenly everyone, you've got to where you are and everyone likes you.
We were a band for at least 3 years before we had ever even released anything, so that isn't really necessarily the case with us. I mean, the first time we came over here, we were touring to support our first LP, which was, we had 2 previous EPs before that, and then 3 years of being a band before that. So, you know, we've been a band for a long time, and I think a lot of like the developmental stage you're talking about, as far as being fresh and just, you know, figuring out what you want to do and who you are, we did before we ever even made a record. So I don't think that's where we've been.
Well, do you think you obviously have progressed from the first album to this album?
Mm-hmm. Well, it should, you know, be natural in any situation not to make the same album 5 times. I mean, I don't think necessarily we write better songs on our new records than we did on our first record. You know, they're just different.
So how would you sort of call the progression? Was it sort of natural and?
No, it was very planned out.
It was plotted out from the start.
Yeah.
The second record will be like this. In 4 years, we hope to be being interviewed in London and playing the Underground. Everything's just going along.
Whatever.
Do you feel your attitudes have changed then since the earlier days to anything?
Not really. Not that I can think of. Nothing obvious.
Perhaps it's perhaps a little bit more jaded. I mean, just learn more about the industry and about different audiences and different bands, and if you learn that kind of stuff, you're not going to you learn anything about any industry or business, you're not going to come away going, yeah, this really is wonderful. It's Disneyland. I mean, you'll see and learn things that you probably don't see in magazines or TV shows. You learn things about yourself and about various different operations, and you know, at best, you can come away having some insight, you know, into dirty laundry, a little bit jaded.
But I don't think we ever imagined that it was a great industry to begin with. So.
Right. Yeah, we didn't think we were going to Disneyland to begin with. It's true. What's
been the most frustrating thing that you've come across then?
The most frustrating thing? I don't know. Trying to deal with the fact that the larger your audience and the larger the business dealing with your band is, the less amount of people really understand what you do or who you are. People sort of presume a lot of things because in most cases bands are more predictable than we might be, I guess, as far as behavior or attitude or what their interests might be.
That's totally frustrating. Yeah, definitely. When you see rock cliches being lived out right in front of you, you think, you wonder how anyone could have fit into that slot. It's like a comic book was written and people are acting the part, and that's kind of hard to swallow. You think it's a joke, but you know, it's real to some people.
Is music the be all and end all in your lives then?
Oh yes, rock and roll, rock and roll.
Nothing.
It sucks. There's so many other things to do.
Like what then?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't do anything else because I live for rock and roll. It's the be all and end all of my life. And then I sometimes eat and sleep. My real hobby is sleeping. My job is rock and roll.
Right, fine.